My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped him generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming today. I'm traveling, hence the hotel room in the background. Today we're going to be breaking down Search Engine Rewind. We're going to be discussing everything that happened in the past and what you can learn from that to adjust your strategy for the future. So I'm really excited, and let's dive right in. So as I mentioned, Search Engine Rewind 2024. Let's go to the next slide. My name is Neil Patel. I'm the co-founder of NP Digital. I also have Lindsay and Rob with me. Lindsay, do you want to give a quick introduction of yourself, and then Rob, you can do the same?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on the small to medium business division of NP Digital. I have about 12 years of SEO experience. So I've helped clients overcome manual penalties as well as traffic losses from algorithm updates. And I really like to immerse myself in data and let it help make decision-based strategy decisions. So I also have a background in email, SMS, and direct mail before I got into SEO. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
And my name is Rob Tandula. I'm the director of SEO that focuses on our enterprise brands. Over 10 years of experience in SEO, have done it across all different verticals, all different types of companies, and really excited to present some of our ideas here today.
Cool. So we're NP Digital. We're a global ad agency. We've won tons of awards, worked with a lot of large corporations. And the reason I point this out is because the strategies and the tactics work well, especially in SEO, which is what we're known for. We do a lot more than SEO, like social media, paid ads, email marketing, conversion rate optimization. The list goes on and on. But the strategies and the tactics work. So today, when we're breaking down what's happened in the past 12 months and what you can learn going forward, keep in mind, we're using these strategies and tactics for our customers, and we're seeing amazing results from it. So let's take a look at the search engine landscape in 2024. Most people look at SERPs as, oh yeah, there's a lot of zero-click queries. This has been going on for a while now. And yes, we have seen that over and over again. That's been going on not just for a long time, but it's getting worse and worse. According to Danny Sullivan from Google, Google has actually driven more clicks to websites each and every single year. So even though there are more zero clicks, there's more people using Google because the experience is getting better, which is causing more traffic to websites. We'll see what happens in the future as there's things like AI overviews now that are answering more questions. It used to be rolled out for a lot of the queries. The last percentage I looked, it was something less than 10% in the United States, but it's been continually dropping and decreasing. It's showing for a lot of queries like health, finance, B2B, e-commerce, the list goes on and on. You can ask a question about the pyramids. I do believe that the number of results for AI overviews has been going down because there's a lot of inaccuracies. But over time, Google will fix a lot of that. And I've seen it as well. Like I've asked questions on inflation rate in 2024, and it'll show me inflation data from 2022. And I'm like, well, this is kind of useless. So then I had to go down to the results and click through and find the one that has data from 2024. And when you think about search, yes, AI overviews is impacting, Google, but Google isn't the only player in town. When people used to talk about search, they're just like, oh yeah, you're searching on Google. Oh, you're doing SEO, you're optimizing for Google. Maybe Bing, but it was pretty much just Google. Now, when we ran our survey from 2022 or 2020, sorry, to 2024, when we asked people what they were using for search, pretty much back then and 4 years ago, it was search engines, very little social media, and very little other, right? Other could be like a Kayak or Airbnb or any other platform, because in theory, you're searching on there to get data, or maybe an encyclopedia site or whatever it may be. Now, when we ask people, they're using search engines, but they're also using social media, and they're really using AI chatbots. A great example of this is Perplexity or ChatGPT, which everyone's familiar with. And when you're looking at this data, what you'll notice is in 2024, the data adds up to over 100%. Similar to 2020, people had the option to select multiple responses, right? And if you look in 2024, people are really using more of these chat platforms more and more. And they're not just using one. So it doesn't necessarily mean Google's decreasing in traffic. It just means people are using more platforms. A great example of another platform is TikTok. It's one of the most popular platforms, especially for Gen Z. If you haven't checked out TikTok Creator Insights, it's their version of keyword data. You should check it out. You can also get a lot of that data on Answer the Public for free, but check out both those places to get search data for TikTok. It's where a lot of Gen Z is searching now. And SEO isn't just search engine optimization. We look at SEO in today's world as search everywhere optimization. You want to optimize for social media, chatbots. You want to optimize for things like search engines, the traditional ones that you're used to, like a Google and Bing. Heck, I know people who have Airbnb listings and they're making a killing from it, and they do it full time, and they optimize their listings for Airbnb so they can rank higher, right? That's just showing you search is everywhere, and you need to optimize for the platforms that your ideal customer is using. So how did we get here, and what does that mean for the future? So let's dive in and let's review.
All right, so let's talk about the impact that AI is having on search right now. So first, we'll start out with large language models. So these power AI systems, and they're capable of understanding and generating human language by processing data. So Microsoft came out first with Bing Chat, which is now Copilot, in February of 2023. And then Google rolled out SGE, Search Generated Experience, which is now referred to most often as AI overviews. That's what you'll hear in this presentation. And that's powered by Gemini. That's Google's large language model. And so that rolled out in May of 2024, but it did spend about a year in beta testing. So it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride, as Neil alluded to earlier. We've seen incorrect information in AI overviews called hallucinations. So on the right side of the screen, you're seeing an AI overview. Is it okay to leave a dog in a hot car? And the overview is answering yes, and we all know that's definitely inaccurate. So what Google has done is they've pulled back on how often they're serving up AI overviews. So at launch, about 84% of searches had an AI overview in beta, about 84% of searches had an AI overview. But now we're seeing about less than 15% of searches have an AI overview. I've seen some studies go as low as only 8% of searches having an AI overview. So as Neil said earlier, they've pulled back a little bit to get things right, to make things more correct, because these AI overviews we're seeing, they are incorrect at times.
And one thing to note, Lindsay, is, I know you lead up a lot of the SEO efforts in our SMB division. When we did a study for our SMB clients that are getting their traffic from Google SEO within the United States, even with it being AI overviews being 80+% of the results, we saw a slight decrease in impressions, but we actually saw more traffic going to our customer side. So that was a huge win.
Yeah, that is a massive win. Thank you for sharing. And then another thing to note is that AI overviews are the most visible application of AI that we see in search, but there's a lot more that's happening behind the scenes in terms of ranking. So with natural language processing, Google can interpret slang and complex phrases that are input into the search engine. And then with search intent classification, results can be displayed based on the user intent. So if someone's searching a more informational search or a transactional search, the correct results can be displayed. And then with machine learning, this is used where data can be analyzed to determine the relevancy of a search result. And then finally, with entity recognition, Google's able to understand people, places, and things and explore the knowledge base for relevant results. So there's a lot happening that you don't see outside of those AI overviews that is influencing rankings.
And in addition to AI, something that's a commonplace in SEO are algorithm updates, and they continue to impact the search engine landscape. And Google's been very busy this year in pursuing its goal in terms of reducing spam. If you look at Google's mission, which is to provide the most relevant and reliable information available, all these types of updates make sense, right? We've had core updates in 2023, review updates, changes to FAQ and how-to schema, the helpful content system update. And then even this year, we've already had a core algorithm update and multiple spam updates, again, with the idea of presenting the most relevant and reliable information for users. We're also seeing a ton of examples of unhelpful content getting axed. So you can see on the graph to the right, content that used to work no longer does. And that could be because of the helpful content update, which affected websites that had overt SEO tactics, fluff content, and things that focused on monetization over user value, or the core spam update, right, which was designed to reduce low quality content. So we can see in real time, looking at Google Search Console data, content that was once effective no longer is for a variety of reasons. We also did our own internal study, right, taking a look at some of the data that we have, and we noticed a couple of common trends. Large visibility drops for many sites, especially smaller publishers in the second part of 2023. The smaller presence of review-based content outside of review-oriented searches. And then we talked about the FAQ and how-to schema updates. We saw heavy drops in visibility and clicks for FAQ and how-to content. We just talked about how there have been a ton of algorithm updates this year, and ideally you aren't trying to game the system and you're keeping in line with SEO best practices, so you avoid getting hit by an algorithm update altogether. But if you do, here are a couple things that you'll want to take a look at to maybe recover from these algorithm updates. So conducting a thorough inventory of all your content, identifying which pages have had drops, maybe which pages should be no indexed or just removed because they're unhelpful or low quality. Focus on improving existing or deleting content that isn't valuable, or refreshing old content that was once valuable and still has value but needs to be updated. And then just ensuring, like I said at the outset, that all your remaining content aligns with Google's quality guidelines and you're adhering to best practices so you can avoid this altogether.
All right, so let's talk about how AI-generated content is impacting your SEO strategy. So businesses are adopting AI at a rapid rate due to how quickly AI can churn out content. So in a recent survey, 60% of respondents said that they are using AI to create content versus about 12% relying on humans, and then 27% using both AI and humans. So when we dug a little bit deeper into this and we asked, okay, what portion of your content is written by AI? Most of our respondents were in that 50 to 80% range. Oh, you're one slide ahead there, Rob. Yep, thank you. Yeah, so most of our respondents were in that 50 to 80% range, where 50 to 80% of their content was written with AI. But you can see that most of the respondents were in that 80% range. So they're heavily relying on AI to create content. So as you can imagine, this is leading to a flood of low quality content on the SERP. And as Rob was discussing earlier, that's why we've seen recent algorithm updates that's targeting this low quality content. So the big question is how is this AI content performing? It's quick to create, it's cheaper, what's the catch? So we created 744 articles. Each site posted both AI and human content. And we found that human content produces about 5.4% more traffic than content written by AI. So not only that, you can see that in the chart at the right, the content was still producing significant traffic gains on into month 5 versus the content written by AI. So the payoff isn't there for those people that are utilizing AI written content versus human written content. So how should marketers be leveraging AI? In terms of content, we recommend that you use it as a research tool. So help you identify trending topics, or maybe suggest ideas for content based on your audience, or use it to create outlines, but not just like spinning up content and creating content for the sake of content. That will definitely get you in trouble. Also, think of ways to use it outside of just content generation. And it could be used as an editor, a chat bot to create images or logos. If you're a marketer, there's likely a tool out there that's powered by AI that can help you with your job.
Another thing that we want to touch on in addition to AI and algorithm updates is the idea of image and video search, which has been around for a long time, but it is making huge strides in this new world. This is because the SERP is getting more visual, right? So we look at the top SERP features from 2023 versus 2024, and we see a lot of the other features are pretty much the same, but there's a stark difference between the amount of videos being shown and the amount of images being shown. That's because image search is easier than ever. There are multiple new technologies that are on the way, right? From Google's Circle to Search to TikTok's new image search capabilities. Consumers like images, and Google is understanding, again, to provide the most relevant and reliable information. It understands that users like images, and it's finding ways to make those more prominent in search. Again, with all these images and the importance of images, you want to make sure that you're able to optimize them. So here are 3 ways to ensure that your images are properly optimized. So first, make sure that you're using high quality images, but you want to be mindful of size and compression as that relates to your site speed. You want to write appropriate and descriptive alt text. So if an image isn't shown, users know it's actually there and search engines can see what that image is. And then write descriptive captions and provide more detail for users. Again, will help all of your image strategies going forward. Video is also still essential, but definitely changing. So we analyzed, over 12,000 sessions, and we noticed that when a video is above the fold, searchers click on it 61% of the time. This makes sense, right? Videos are a very easy way to convey a lot of information quickly and succinctly. And this is a great way for users to gain that information. So it makes sense that they would be clicking on them when they're visible. And then which types of videos do best? And to answer that question, you need to understand what your goals are, right? So if you want to get awareness out there and get your name out there and get a lot of impressions, then yeah, you're going to want short form video content because people prefer consuming those videos that are 30 seconds to a minute long. But if you're in the B2B space and you want people to retain a bunch of information, then you're going to want to do longer form video, right? So people can retain that information. You can really dive into the specifics and get your point across in a way that people can understand. And video just isn't for content anymore, right? So Google announced at Google I/O this year that Google Lens will have a feature that will allow you to ask Google questions while videotaping your surroundings for context. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a lot more to come as it relates to video and video content. But this is just one really cool example of some of the new things that we're seeing. Voice search optimization as well, right? We talked about that, and it should be top of mind going forward. It's been around for a long time, but it is something that you should keep top of mind. And that's because it's becoming more important, right? So more than 1 billion searches every month are done via voice. Over 41%, so almost half of US adults use voice search daily, and over 20% of mobile searches are voice search queries. So especially with the advent of AI, and the idea of getting short and succinct information out there quickly, voice search is going to be something very important for marketers and targeting potential keywords that may have felt out of reach before. So how do we optimize for voice search? Well, I always like to say you optimize for voice search the same way that you would for featured snippets. You want to think about long tail keywords and queries. You want to think about succinct information. You want to make sure that you're putting that information right at the top of your page in a couple of sentences that users see right away. You want to use structured data. You want to use speakable markup, and think of all these things when you're trying to optimize for voice search. Again, think of it the same way you would for featured snippets.
All right, let's talk about the Google documentation leak and what we learned from that. So if you haven't heard yet, in May of this year, more than 2,500 pages of Google's API documentation was leaked. So this revealed the inner workings of Google's search engine. So many of these insights did contradict public statements that were made by Google. So the Google algorithm leak, it revealed over about 14,000 features and ranking signals. So some of the ones that we pulled out were our most important findings. So the first one being domain authority. So domain authority is still alive and well. Google did use this in their documentation, listed as site authority. So that indicates that site authority is measured, and it's measuring the overall trustworthiness and credibility of a domain. And this did contradict public denials of using domain authority as a ranking factor. The next one is clicks, referred to as nav boost. So we kind of already knew about this one based upon the antitrust suit, but it was also in the documentation. So further confirming that click data is used to influence rankings. So some things that we were seeing in that documentation is there's metrics that were good clicks, so indicating user satisfaction, and bad clicks, indicating user dissatisfaction, to influence rankings. Next is user-generated content. So we did find that Google is considering user reviews and ratings as a social proof of a signal when ranking a site. The next one as a ranking factor is video. So any factors like tools, images, videos, and unique information contribute to a higher page authority score. So in the documentation, when they were talking about page quality, video would automatically boost that page quality. And also, as Rob was speaking to earlier, it's also likely higher to rank due to its comprehensive nature and greater usability. We're finding that more people are clicking and interacting with video these days. And then finally, dwell time and long clicks. So this is when the user spends a significant amount of time on a page, or how long they're spending on a page before returning to the SERP, was also a ranking factor. And then this theory of the sandbox. So this is where newer websites have to sit in a separate place until they establish credibility to be able to show up in the search engine results page. So it's just kind of a holding time period for a new website, and that was in the documentation as well. So our recommendations here are be patient. First off, it's going to take a little bit of time. And then second, as always, avoid using black hat or unethical tactics. These will likely come back to hurt you in the long run. And finally, focus on the high quality human content and creating relevant backlinks to help boost your authority and to get you out of the sandbox, of course.
Cool. Now we'll look at some trends to watch here in 2024 and beyond. So one is hyperlocal SEO. Now, local SEO has been around for a long time, but thinking of the shift of queries like restaurants in San Diego to restaurants in Little Italy, San Diego that are open now, or even with high reviews, or a certain type of food, right? So we want to make sure that users are searching for things that are nearby and around them. So focusing on the neighborhood and the more local level is going to be very valuable going forward. Now, when we're talking about hyperlocal searches, we're talking about optimizing your website, your GBP profiles, and even social profiles. And that can be, these are different ways to think about that, thinking about geo-targeted keywords to connect with local searchers, optimizing your pages that contain city names, even neighborhoods and distances, obviously extending your hyperlocal focus to things we talked about, Google Business Profile, Apple Maps, etc. And then again, don't forget about social media. Something else that's new that we want to focus on and talk about is generative optimization, or generative engine optimization, or GEO. So, we talked about how AI can be used in a variety of different ways. Well, some people use it as a search engine, and making sure that they recommend your products and services are top of mind. So moving from SERP to CHIRP, right, your chat experience result page, people are asking ChatGPT, Gemini, and others to help them find anything from marketing agencies to recipes to car wrapping companies. Even though ChatGPT's index isn't as real time as Gemini's, it eventually will be. And it's somewhere that you want to show up as well, right? Thinking back to search everywhere optimization, you don't just want to show up in Google, you want to show up in these AI experiences as well.
And we're seeing customers come from places like ChatGPT. A lot of people take it for granted, but like even for us, and it was eye-opening. This didn't happen recently. Well, the first time was roughly a year ago, where someone texted me, they found my number, and they're just like, "Hey, we want to work with you in marketing." I was like, "Who's this? What's your information? Like your business information? How can we help?" And then I asked them, "How'd you find about us?" And they're like, "Oh, we asked ChatGPT which agency to hire that specializes in X vertical." And they were like, they recommended you guys, right? It's really powerful.
Yeah, extremely powerful stuff. And what's interesting too is that a lot of the factors that allow you to rank in places like ChatGPT and these AI softwares is the same that it would be for Google, right? Your authority, your reviews, your relevancy, mentions. The algorithms are slightly different and we don't know exactly what they are, but we know that these factors are important. So when you're trying to optimize your website, think of these as an opportunity for optimizing for AI as well. You also want to make sure that your content gets cited in AI overviews. So as Neil was talking about before, everyone talked about AI overviews and the loss of clicks, but sometimes what we saw is that clicks actually went up. And that was because some of our businesses and clients were getting cited in AI overviews, which are right at the top of the SERP, right below the text generated by AI. So in order to do that in this new world, you want to make sure that you are mentioned in these AI overviews by ensuring the proper technical optimizations, like having the right type of schema on your website so that search engines and AI can understand your content. Creating thorough and comprehensive content never goes out of style. Building links to promote authority and get votes of confidence from other places never goes out of style either. Structuring content in a question and answer format. So thinking back to voice search and featured snippets, this is going to be really important going forward. And then continuous and methodical, actionable analysis and execution. So understanding what works, what doesn't work, and then focusing on those areas that do work and multiplying that going forward. We also talked about this early on too, the idea that content isn't king anymore. Lindsay mentioned you can't just produce content and hope that it will rank, right? Marketers and writers are producing nearly 4.6 billion pieces of content daily. So the internet is extremely saturated with content. And a lot of this isn't indexed, right? Over 96% of the content indexed in Google, or a lot of this is indexed but isn't seeing traffic. So a lot of this isn't seeing meaningful search traffic, which means you can't just throw content out there. You have to do your keyword research, make sure that it's written appropriately, that the outline is done well. So don't think of quantity, think of quality. That was something that will never go out of style. And again, setting up the next slide, right? A new meaning of quality over quantity. So back to search everywhere optimization, we're seeing a TikTokification effect, leading to preferences and shorter and more easily digestible information. Common knowledge a couple years ago was you could write 2,000 words on a subject and you'd automatically rank for that query. Now users have a shorter attention span, right? And we need to make sure that we're matching user intent, providing short and succinct information. And this is a trend that we've seen this year and will continue to be so. We also want to make sure that your social SEO is dialed in, so getting your content seen when people are searching for it on all social media platforms. So newer generations like Gen Z, TikTok, Instagram, these are the way that they're finding local businesses. They're looking for travel recommendations. They're not even going to Google anymore. So the idea of social media being its own search engine is on the rise, which we see here on the graph to the right, just a very stark increase in social media searching for questions online versus today versus 2000. How to optimize your social content. So similar to normal SEO, you want to make sure that you are using the right keywords, that your profiles are complete, that you use logical handles and profile names just as you would for your website, that you're using high quality visuals like we talked about, and you're looking for trends and making sure that you're producing content that is based on trends. And you can use the TikTok keyword research tool that you see here for the right to see what's trending, see what the cost per click are for certain keywords, and really make sure that your search strategy starts with fundamental good keyword research. There are also a lot of synergies, right, between social media and Google. Like we talked about, the SERP is getting more visual. We see more links to places like TikTok and Reddit in SERPs now, and they're incorporating this directly into the user experience. So again, search everywhere optimization means showing up on all these platforms, and Google is really even following the lead here by showing these results and videos and things like that directly in their search results.
And they also have data agreements with some of these platforms. So if you're not on them, you're less likely to show up in places like Google where you would want to be. So make sure you're participating around the whole web, not just Google, not just TikTok, not just Instagram. Think about it. They even have data deals with sites like Reddit, right? So even the smaller social sites, they have deals with. So if you're not in places like Quora, Reddit, etc., you're pretty much not using omni-channel marketing, you're going to miss out on search everywhere optimization.
Yep, and we've been talking about TikTok a lot, but one of the really cool things that we've seen, in businesses that we work for is the ability of TikTok to impact search demand. So one of the biggest things in SEO, right, is, we can't really affect branded traffic. We go after non-branded traffic. But we've seen instances of TikTok, especially for things like products and things that are trending. If you look in Google Trends, the before and after, a TikTok trend goes live, we'll see the search demand for maybe a branded name or a branded product really increase. So this is a super powerful thing for SEOs and marketers in general, where again, brand has been something that's been a little bit harder to impact. This shows a really good path forward and ways to do that and affect branded queries directly.
All right, so let's talk about what's coming next in terms of search. So at Google's annual developer conference in May, they announced multi-step reasoning in search. So this is essentially using AI to break down a long, complex query into multiple searches and generate a comprehensive answer. So they're taking this very long query that's going a lot of different directions and unpacking it. So the example that was given was searching for yoga studios in Boston and asking for details about offers, and then unpacking that and further asking, you're looking for a location that's not too far away from Beacon Hill. So in the future, Google's going to be able to completely unpack this query, this very long query, and give you answers to all of those pieces. The next thing they announced was AI organized search results. So soon when you're looking for ideas, Search will use generative AI to brainstorm with you and create an AI organized results page that makes it easy to explore with AI generated headlines. So in this example of searching for an anniversary worthy restaurant, some of the headlines were restaurants that were common with people that were celebrating something, or rooftop restaurants, just helping you think through different options that you have. So right now, this is being used for restaurants, but it's later to come for music, books, and more later this year. Okay, so how do you build a strategy to leverage all of these new AI features? First off, establishing credibility. So making sure you are a credible source, you're getting mentions across the web, that Google can trust you. Building out your author pages. So let your authors flex their credibility and expertise, knowing that this content is coming from someone that is educated in that industry. And then including SMEs in all of your content. So this is a good opportunity to add new information to the web, but also flex that credibility. Next, focus on conversions. So focus on creating a good user experience and prioritize conversions of lead generation based upon your business. And then reconsider those ultra long keywords. We're seeing that Google is encouraging us to search in this way. They're encouraging, 5+ queries that are showing up in AI overviews. And in the recent announcements, they're also giving us the tools to be able to break down a very long query that's asking a lot of different questions at the same time. Next is keep building backlinks. So we know this is important based upon the Google link. And as far as our own analysis goes, we're seeing that too. So we looked at 138 domains that have ranked well in the past 2 years, and 76% had backlinks based on our study. Search Engine Land also did a study, and they found that 96% of sites that were within that top 10 positions had 1,000+ links from unique domains. So backlinks are still important. Not only that, Google even straight up told us that backlinks matter in relation to AI overviews. So they've told us that SGE, also known as AI overviews, places more emphasis on producing informative responses from reliable sources. So they want to make sure that they're not giving us those hallucinations. And so they're working on making sure that it's from a reliable source. So what's the future of link building? I think this is a common trend with content and now with link building as well, is prioritizing quality over quantity. So recommendations from us are create assets like tools or data points that appeal to publishers so that they want to go out and link to your content, your tools. That will help you earn links. And then also think about leveraging AI for outreach. So earlier I was speaking to, AI can help you on a number of different levels in terms of marketing. So think about using AI as well as a tool for link building outreach. And then next, focus on branding and community marketing. So copying the competition is easy, right? You need to make your brand stand out with a powerful strategy that appeals to your audience. So find something unique in your audience, like Amazon did with selling convenience, or Starbucks selling their lifestyle. And then also consider exploring strategic partnerships. So recently CNET has incorporated Best Buy products, or Best Buy has incorporated CNET recommendations into their products. So they're leveraging reviews, user-generated content to help their customers make a decision. So think about what strategic partnerships that you could help one another out with. Consider global SEO opportunities. So almost 59% of content online is English, but most of the world doesn't speak that language. So there's a lot of opportunity out there to optimize for different languages. And then this is just a note that international SEO isn't just for major companies. Mid-size and startups can play here too. So the first step is really identifying a market that makes sense. Take a look in GA4, see if you're already getting traffic, from countries that would be easy to enter. And then localize your content into different languages and make sure your website architecture is set up for those different languages.
So key takeaways, look, search is changing and expectations are shifting. You need to adapt with them. On top of that, SEO isn't just for Google or Bing. You need to optimize for a lot of the platforms out there. The second most popular search engine that no one talks about is YouTube. Sure, it's owned by Google, but it's literally the second most popular search engine out there. So why wouldn't you be optimizing for it as well? And by optimizing for it, it also helps you with your Google traffic because Google also takes YouTube videos and pops them into the search results. And same with creating TikTok videos, right? If you want to do well in SEO, you have to create content not just for one platform, but multiple platforms, and you have to create content in different formats. It used to be where people just focus on text, but now you really need video. You need things like audio. Podcasts can rank within search results. You need images. Google image search is extremely popular. You also need things like text-based content, which isn't going away. But if you do a combination of these content formats, you optimize for many platforms, you use your learnings from one platform and take it to the other, you should do well in the long run. If you want to download our guide on Search Engine Rewind, which breaks down what we learned from 2023 as well as what's happening in 2024, just scan that QR code right there. We'll leave it up for a little bit, but scan that QR code. You'll go to a page. You can, download it, and you'll have all the charts and everything that the team and I discussed today. And if you want to work with us, you can always just scan that QR code. We can help you with everything from keyword research to CRO to email marketing to influencer marketing, paid ads. The list goes on and on. Scan that QR code, fill out your information. It doesn't cost any money to have a call with us. We don't charge for that. We analyze businesses, figure out what's wrong, and then figure out if we can have a positive impact and, more importantly, a positive ROI where their campaigns are going to be profitable while working with us and paying our fee. But scan that QR code, fill out your information, talk to one of our specialists, and go from there. You have nothing to lose. We also have an upcoming webinar on how you're wasting your time on social media and creating a lot of social content. There's a whole new approach that you need to be following that performs much better. And scan that QR code, you can register, and you'll start seeing much better social engagement, but as well as a better ROI from your social media campaigns. Because everyone's like, oh, social media, it's only used for creating brand awareness. Well, no, you can drive conversions. You just got to do it in a different way. So, all right, let's get into some Q&A. Colin, do you want to kick us off?
Good stuff, everyone. Hello, Colin Cornwell, part of Neil's marketing team, SEO, content, web developer, nerd, lots of questions, lots of great content. Let's start with you, Neil. This is kind of a tough one, but I think you're probably best suited to address this. How can highly regulated industries make the best strategic decisions for content and SEO today? He mentions firearms and hunting, optics, shooting, but I think this holds true for financial services and a lot of other regulated industries where you're constantly, education industry is another good example where there's a lot of going back and forth and there's a lot of things that you just cannot say. Any suggestions on the best strategic decisions for content for those areas?
So even in highly regulated industries, you can do well. A great example of this is in the firearm space, look at a content site called Pew Pew Tactical. It's PEW Tactical. I believe it's .com, but if you just Google them, you'll find it. That site gets a ton of traffic. And I know this because one of my buddies is the owner of it, and they've crushed it in a regulated space. Finance is also regulated, like investing. Pharmaceuticals is also regulated, depending on the country you're in. You can only do certain types of marketing, or you may not even be able to do marketing at all. You can still create content. You're just limited, and you just follow the rules. But here's an interesting approach that works well in some regulated industries. Look at what's more generic, top of funnel. That's not necessarily saying, hey, take this medicine, it'll cure this disease or whatnot. And what you can do is you can talk about symptoms, right? Like, for example, when people are taking medicines, oh, I feel this way, what's wrong? And you can end up creating a lot of content. Hey, you should see a doctor. But a lot of people who face this, based on the research we're seeing, here are some of them, the issues that they have, but there's a lot more issues that they could have, and you shouldn't just base your decision on this article. You should go see a doctor, right? A lot of it has to do with wording as well, and what you're inferring to people. And the other thing that you can do is work with a lot of influencers. For example, in finance, there's a lot of popular people like on social media, like John's Finance Tips, where he'll break down a lot of financial products and services that can help people out, which can help you get a lot more traction with your products and services, of course, with using the right disclaimers if John's recording a video.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil. Here's another one. Let's toss this one over to Rob. Do we know, and I swear I've seen some stats in the previous webinar, so maybe we've got stats for this, but do we know what impact ChatGPT specifically is having on search? Like, is there a percentage that X percentage of people are now, looking on Gemini or ChatGPT, I guess ChatGPT specifically, as opposed to going to Google? For years now, product searches, have been going over to Amazon from Google. Do we have any stats or data that says, what that number is, just so we can size up what's going on?
Yeah, this one honestly might be better for Neil. I don't know if there are any stats. Neil,
Yeah.
Do you know if there's a specific number?
So the last time I looked up ChatGPT on SimilarWeb, it's 2-ish billion visits a month. When you look at Google, the last I checked, it was somewhere around 80 billion visits a month. There's a big difference in traffic. We're not necessarily seeing the growth in ChatGPT causing a decline in Google. When we're seeing Google's traffic go up and down, some of it's seasonality. Their growth rate is much slower because they're much bigger. And this is the traffic for Google. When I said the ChatGPT traffic, that's for ChatGPT. Remember, Google also has YouTube, google.co.uk, google.co.india, Gmail, and the list goes on and on and on, right? So Google generates a lot of traffic. And we're not necessarily seeing ChatGPT impact the traffic. It's more so, I want you to think about ChatGPT and Google kind of like Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. You still are on Facebook. You may say you don't use Facebook, but Meta generates more revenue at this moment from Facebook than they do from Instagram, which means a lot of people still use it. It's not like one social network dominated and the rest are crushed. Snapchat is still a multi-billion-dollar company, and same goes with Pinterest. We may not talk about them, but they're still extremely popular and they generate a ton of cash. So it's not like one social network is going to kill off the other. And you're probably going to see a similar thing in search. ChatGPT is probably not going to kill off Google and vice versa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil, for the additional commentary. Rob, Lindsay, what can we do to get Google to reference our business as a reliable and trustworthy source? There was a lot of comments when content is not king anymore. Quality content is king. Can you address that? Like, what steps need to be done so that businesses, are reliable and trustworthy in the eyes of Google?
Lindsay,
Yeah.
you want to take that one? Because I think you kind of touched on it. There, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would say, like, within your site, make sure you have clear contact information. You have an About Us page, because Google wants to know that you are a legitimate business and that you have this information, and they want to know who you are. Also, make sure you're demonstrating your expertise in the industry with blog posts and articles. And then offsite, make sure you're earning reviews and testimonials so that customers are speaking about you in a positive light. And Google My Business, Yelp, or if there's an industry specific type of review website, make sure that you're seeking out customer feedback there, that it's positive. And then also make sure you're getting, media mentions, quality backlinks from trustworthy sources, whether that's from, guest blogging, creating partnerships, or building relationships with other businesses.
Anything to pile on there, Rob, or are we good?
No. I mean, I think, touched on it in the presentation, Lindsay, you talked about everything. Both on-site and off-site factors are very valuable there.
What is considered low quality content? We talked about it quite a bit throughout the presentation. Like, is there yeah, that's low quality content. Like, how do you identify low quality content? And then there's sort of like a follow-up question to that, I guess, is what if we create content with AI and use tools or humans to humanize that content? Is that like the approach to content these days?
Yeah, I can talk about low quality content. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about low quality content. Low quality content can mean something that was once useful, but's now old or outdated, right? People that aren't searching for it anymore. Content that isn't targeting keywords, right? You can build the best piece in the world, but if no one's searching for it, that's low quality, right? You want to think of user intent. Or pages that are untrustworthy or lack expertise, right? If you're writing on, a medical subject, but you don't have any medical credentials, that's low quality content as well. And I think in the context of AI, stuff that's programmatically generated and doesn't have that human touch to it can be seen as low quality as well. So the second point of that is we create content with AI and use tools to humanize the content. Yeah, I mean, I think AI is a great starting point if you want an outline or to do the keyword research or get some ideas, but you have to bring in that human touch and you have to bring in that real world experience, right? Think of like a product review, for example, right? AI hasn't used the newest set of headphones. It doesn't know how those work and what those are. You as the human have to add like, oh, these features are great and I used it and this was good and all that. So I always like to say use AI as a starting point, but then really put in that human touch and that expertise, and that will help you skirt around some of these things that we consider low quality content.
That's one of the E's in EEAT, experience. And that's not like the website experience. That's like someone has experience using a product or a service, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Lindsay, I think you mentioned short click or long click, or maybe it was Rob. Like, what is the difference between a short click and a long click? There were multiple questions about that.
Yeah. So a short click is when a user clicks on a result and they're like, okay, this isn't what I'm looking for. And they quickly return to the results page and they're clicking on something else. So indicates they're not satisfied with that first query or that first result that they clicked on. Whereas a long click is a user's clicking on a result. They're spending a significant amount of time on the landing page. So they probably found something that's relevant and helpful to them. And so the long click is a positive signal for Google suggesting, okay, this is a good match for the query. Whereas a short click indicates dissatisfaction and like, maybe this isn't such a good result for the query.
Got it.
And you have to remember they have tons of data. Google Analytics, Chrome browsers, right? Like Android phones, like they're really tracking and seeing tons of information. Remember, Google's mission is to organize the world's information, not just on the internet, even the information in your head.
And that was scattered all throughout the leak, right? Like Chrome and how potential Chrome data is maybe used to influence the search. So yeah, crazy town. Rob, what actions can be taken to increase the likelihood of showing up in the chirps, not the SERPs, but in the chirps, which is a new acronym that I love?
Yeah, absolutely. And we kind of touched on this during the presentation, but a lot of it is the same that you would be doing for SEO, right? So brand mentions, making sure that you're getting links and you're mentioned in high authority and relevant places. Reviews, right? Not just on Google My Business or Yelp if you're a local business, but testimonials and review websites across the internet. Relevancy, which you do through content, link building, on-page keywords, authority, right? Getting links from places, building up your domain authority, and again, getting mentioned from places. So all these, again, it works in tandem with SEO. It's building up your your experience, your expertise, your authoritativeness, and your trustworthiness, getting mentioned from places around the web. And a lot of these AI tools and ChatGPT, they go to the web too and see like what maybe this article says or what they're getting from around the internet. So back to the search everywhere optimization. If you're doing really well on SEO and you're focusing on all those authority signals, it's gonna bleed into the AI experience as well. So just make that a part of your everyday strategy.
Awesome. Anyone else? Anything to say about that? We've got 2 more minutes and I got 2 more questions. So Rob, Lindsay, what is the recommended image format to help with site speed? Is it JPEG, WebP? I can speak through experience that WebP seems to be the format that all of the plugins use, whether you're using Shopify or WordPress. Any thoughts on what format we might be recommending to clients for good looking, nice, crisp images, and what format those should be in that are optimized and that load quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple different formats that you can use, right? Like JPEG, PNG, WebP, you can use all of them. It's more the idea of compressing them, making sure they're optimized correctly. There's sometimes too, you want to check compatibility, because I know for a long time Google recommended doing WebP for a while, but then a lot of the older browsers didn't support them. So if you're still on like Edge or something like that, then the image might not load for people. So I would always recommend making sure the images that you're using are compatible for the widest range of search or browsers that exist out there. And then whatever file format you use, make sure that they're optimized and compressed and, the best for search. But I wouldn't necessarily say like, you could use GIFs can be great, right? But those are larger and they can have their own purpose. So don't focus as much on the format, but more the things surrounding it.
And ideally,
Good.
as Rob mentioned, crisp in quality, but you want the file size to be as small as possible for high quality. And by the way, if you guys are seeing the QR code at the bottom, if you scan it, it's a great marketing tactic. What you'll see is you'll get notified here. It's actually real. When people scan it, it pops up and it notifies people. It's a great way to increase conversions. But like, if you guys ever need help with your search everywhere optimization or SEO and you scan it, you'll end up going to a page, fill out your information, and it converts quite well. It combines with the Restream. They have this capability that's in there, which works well to convert webinar prospects into signups if you're ever trying to do that, just like we are.
Awesome. Well, let's one more. We're going to squeeze one more in because I said 2. Rob and Lindsay, where do you build author pages? Is that like in the content? Is that in the CMS? Is that a separate website? Like, what exactly are author pages?
Yeah, so typically those are built within the CMS because you're wanting to provide credibility for your blog post, right? And then if you're able to create those author pages, you can interlink your author page with your blog post and prove, okay, this person has expertise in this specific area. So yeah, typically that's done like on the domain within the CMS.
Cool. Well, that's all we have time for. We're 1
Awesome.
minute over. Great job, all.
And thank you guys for coming here, spending your day or morning with us or evening. We really appreciate. We know you guys are busy. Hopefully this provides you insights. We do these a few times every month. And if you ever want to work with us at NP Digital, we're a global ad agency in 19 plus countries. Scan the QR code. We'll follow up with you guys, and hopefully we can provide you some amazing results. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped them generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you.